Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show with local celebrity hosts Steve-O and Renee. Sit back each week while Steve-O and Renee educate you with live in-studio experts, such as lawyers, doctors, home improvement, and financial experts in their field. Call in and have your questions answered each week at 888-565-1470. Now, here is Steve-O and Renee with today's expert in their field.
Good afternoon and welcome to another Ask the Experts. I'm Steve-O, and again, I'm without Renee. We told you last week that we have a morning show. And when you have a 3-hour morning show, it is really, really difficult to do another show the same day. So hopefully Renee will be back in the next couple weeks, but we have a great, great guest. Some shows are easier to do than others. We have attorney Tina Lewert. Hey, Tina.
Hi, how are you?
How are you doing?
I'm well.
Anyway, Tina is the expert when it comes to family law. And today I'm going to open it up also, the phone lines, to 888-565-1470. If you are a family member or a friend or thinking about going through a divorce, Tina's not going to sit here and tell you all the things you need to do, but she is available if you've got a pretty easy question. And we're just going to talk about family law, about kids today who are going through divorce. And I'm so glad you're here. It's just so easy doing this show with you.
Yeah, usually the time goes by pretty quick because I'm chatting away the whole time.
This is a talk show, Tina.
Yep.
This is what you do.
That's what I'm here for.
So tell us a little bit about you and your practice, first of all.
Sure. My practice is in Boca Raton. I specialize solely in family law, which, and usually, I tell people I'm board certified in marital and family law, and that's a very polite way of saying I'm an expert in divorce. I'm a divorce attorney. So, anyway, yeah, the range of areas I specialize in encompasses divorce, which usually encompasses equitable distribution, division of assets and liabilities, alimony, child support, child custody, visitation and time-sharing schedules. Also, we do domestic violence matters, modifications of child support, child custody, and alimony, contempt matters, enforcement of things like child support and alimony, and prenups and postnups.
I actually got an email. Someone asked me to ask you today if you do, I can't believe I'm going to forget this. Adoption. That's what it was.
No, I don't. That's actually a separate area of specialization. It's actually a separate area of board certification in Florida. And so, no, that's its own whole beast.
Okay.
And if anybody has questions, I can refer them to a very good adoption attorney.
Okay. Now, do you practice in Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade, or do you try to stay just in Palm Beach?
Mostly Palm Beach, and Broward. Primarily Palm Beach because our office is in Boca. And I have a lot of cases in that county, in Broward County, and then throughout the state. Occasionally, I'll go to other counties. Right now, I have a case up in Brevard County. I got a call the other day from Hillsborough County. Occasionally, I'll go down to Dade and just sort of wherever I'm
That's
needed.
kind of a compliment. I mean, from Hillsborough County?
Yeah, it is.
With all the attorneys down there?
Well, and some people, and yes, you know what, attorneys, as you know, charge for their time. So unfortunately, I have to work out something on the time for, and I say, I may be more expensive than someone in, local to you, but people say, well, I've talked to so many people and I like you, so I'll do it. And I enjoy that. I enjoy traveling around.
The amount of money you pay is important, but something like this right here, it's so important that you've got good representation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now
these are major life issues.
I want to tell everybody they can actually watch us live right now by going to www.wnnradio.com. When you go to the website, the station's website, top left-hand corner, it says WNN TV. Click on there, and our show is live right now.
I think it's also on my website.
Is it on your website?
I think it is, yeah.
Okay, give everybody your website.
Yeah. The website is www.lewertlaw.com. Lewert is spelled Lewert.
Okay.
So I think it's up on there. Should be.
Okay, so if it's not there, you can go to the radio station. I've got to start off with no fault divorce.
Yeah. What does that
mean? Because to
mean?
me, it means not my fault.
It's nobody's fault. Well, the actual meaning of no fault divorce stems from the concept that in Florida, unlike some other states, and I think I always say this, there are very few states I think that are still doing this, but in other states you may have to prove grounds for divorce. So in other words, to even be able to obtain your divorce, you may have to prove that there was abuse or adultery or things like that in the marriage. Whereas in Florida, you don't need to prove grounds. You don't, in fact, no one, including the judge, the opposite side, will ever ask you, why? Whose fault was this? Who wanted to work it out? Who tried harder? Who wanted to go to counseling? Who didn't?
Doesn't matter.
Who wanted to file first? Anything like that. It's really, you don't have to prove grounds. All you have to do in Florida to get your divorce is you allege in the petition that the marriage is irretrievably broken, and that's a legal phrase. And what that means is that the marriage is over and there's nothing the court can do to put it back together. And that's it. You don't need to prove any other grounds or say why or anything like that. And that's the basic concept. But also, along with that goes, I guess, what most people think of as, okay, no, it's a no-fault state. The common, terminology has come to sort of mean, well, it's going to primarily be financial. Typically, we can't punish our spouse for their bad behavior or misconduct, things like that. You're not going to get more of something or get less of something than you otherwise would have gotten because of certain conduct.
Okay, so kind of walk me through the first time someone comes into your office. Mm-hmm. First of all, it's got to be pretty scary.
Yeah, it's it's a
big
there's
step.
a permanent box of tissues on my desk, and it's
I bet.
Yeah, and it's it's understandable. I mean, people are this is one of the worst times in many people's lives. I mean, absolutely, it's a devastation, it's a loss, it's a death in many ways, and so. It's understandable, and there, even though all the things I just said mean that yes, some of the we have to treat a lot of the financial matters as sort of a business deal in many ways. Even though that's true, it's still emotional, and emotion is still going to play a huge part in it. And so, I understand when people come to me, it's very hard. So I've had people sitting across from me at my desk just crying just because they're there, and I understand that. Any human being would understand that. But generally, what we do to get things started, I mean, I can tell people I usually answer all their questions, and kind of, every case is different. So right. I'm going to ask a lot of questions about your case, the length of your marriage, your children, the ages of the children, the assets, the debts, things like that. And kind of get a feeling for what's going on and what's gone on in the marriage, and financially what's gone on, what the assets are, things like that. And then I can give advice, and I can direct and kind of make recommendations about how to proceed, how things might go. Sometimes I'm very good at telling that. Kind of telling the future based on what I've seen.
Well, you've seen it
in my
so many
experience.
times.
Yeah. And people always say, "Gosh, how did you know that was going to happen?" I'm like, "I just did.
I have seen this movie."
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, generally to get a case started, whoever, like I said, it doesn't usually matter who files first. So whoever wants to get things rolling is going to be the petitioner. We're going to file a petition for dissolution of marriage. And the petition lays out very, very generally what the issues are. And there's some other documents that go along with that. It gets filed with the clerk of the county court in whatever county you live and served on the other party. The other party has 20 days to respond. In that time, they can get their own lawyer.
So what are they responding to, though?
Well, you're going to allege, like I said, very generally, you're going to say, like I said, the marriage is irretrievably broken. There are assets and liabilities that need to be divided. They should be divided pursuant to the statute, and we name the Florida statute that governs that. There are children of the marriage. The court needs to, these are the things you're asking. We're asking the court to determine a parenting plan and a time sharing schedule that's in their best interest, whatever that may be. So usually you're not going to say specifics of what you want, what you're looking for in the petition. It's generally laying out what the issues are that need to be determined to put the court and the other party on notice of what the issues are. And then the other person, for example, a husband might file a petition for dissolution of marriage and say, okay, we have children, we have assets, we have liabilities, maybe some other issues that need to be resolved. And then the wife may file a counter petition. She may respond and then file her counter petition. Her counter petition may include a request for alimony. So
Right.
she may have a claim for alimony where the husband didn't.
Is there alimony in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
'Cause I'm from Texas. We don't have
Texas
alimony
is
there.
different. I know. I've heard that. And Florida, despite the last few years, we've had some alimony reform bills on the table within the Florida legislature. The law has not changed as of yet.
Okay.
And we still have alimony in Florida. There are a bunch of different types. We have permanent alimony. I know, like you said, Texas doesn't.
Right.
I think New Jersey also. There are a few states. There's some states where that do not. The law does not provide for that. So in Florida, we have the concept of permanent alimony, but it really depends. There are lesser terms of alimony. There's durational alimony. There's shorter term alimony. In a very short term marriage, to bridge the gap from married life to single life, and we call that bridge the gap alimony. So it just really depends on the case. It depends on the facts of the case. It depends on everybody's incomes and financial resources and things like that. And we do have that.
What
and
do you
that's,
see more of? That one of the parties doesn't want the divorce, or both of the parties want a divorce?
That's a really interesting question. I guess I could say
Because my next
typically
question
nobody
is
wants the divorce.
okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my next question
Yeah.
was, what if the other party won't sign the papers?
If
Does that stop anything, slow it down?
it may slow it down. It may delay the case and cause it to go to trial. And every effort is made during these cases, especially in Florida and very much in certain counties, especially like Palm Beach County has a local rule, an administrative order that requires mediation before you can pretty much get into court on anything.
Okay.
And so, absent an emergency. So, yeah, they
I like
settlement
that.
efforts are made and continuously before mediation, during mediation, after mediation. Maybe there are two mediations. Maybe it settles later. But, yeah, those efforts are continuously made, which is a good thing.
The mediation
And then
is for what? For
the mediation-
settling or not getting divorced? Or
No, the mediation is a settlement conference
Okay.
/ negotiation. There's really no, if somebody files for divorce, it's going to happen. The
Okay.
only thing that the other party could do if they say no, I do not believe this
contest
marriage
it?
is.
They can't contest it?
They
or-
can say, I don't believe this marriage is irretrievably broken. Because remember, that's one of your allegations. The other party can say, no, denied. I deny that. And really the most that could be done is that there could be a motion to put the case on hold so that the parties can attend counseling or something. But even in a situation like that, if one party says, listen, no amount of counseling is going to do it for me. It's broken. There's nothing that can be done to fix this for me. The divorce is going to happen. And so if one party, you go to mediation, you do all these settlement efforts and settlement conferences and things, and one person says, no, I'm not signing anything, I'm not settling anything, or this is not happening, you set the case for trial, and the judge makes the determinations, and nobody has to sign anything except the judge.
Have you been keeping up with been going on the last 3 or 4 days with divorces? With what's the online Madison?
Oh, Ashley Madison.
Madison.
Yeah.
I've been reading about that. There's been 3 suicides.
Is that right?
People
I
who
haven't
are
heard any. I
on-
haven't heard all the details.
Yeah, people who are on this website.
Oh my gosh.
There's been like divorces like 30% up. And then look at this guy. What's his name? Aaron Foger. What's the guy from? Jared. Boy,
The subway guy.
She ran to the courts right away.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's so much cheating going on.
Yeah.
More than ever before.
It's interesting, and that's when you have to ask. You guys have a therapist that comes in,
Yes,
right?
Dr. Silverman.
Dr. Silverman. You should ask her that question. I don't know. I don't know if it's a human physiological thing. Like, are people just prone to I don't know. It's scary. It's scary. It's disturbing, and I see a lot of it. I see a lot. That's I would say, a very one of the things that I see the most as far as a reason. Because even though
cheating.
the court may never ask the reason, of course,
Right.
I hear all the details and all the background and all the history and all what happened. So it's very common.
Do you, if there is a lot of assets involved, do you always recommend that a forensic person come in?
Not always. Where we typically recommend that a forensic CPA would be hired, definitely where one of the parties or both have a business. such as even a small, a closely held corporation, a business interest, a partnership interest, a professional practice like mine. So anytime that's the case, yeah, you absolutely want to hire a forensic because they need to get to the bottom of the books and what's being paid through the business and all those things that would otherwise be personal if that person had to work for someone else, and find out what's the actual income, and also what's the value of the business, because the business could be a marital asset.
I just can't believe some of these husbands, because it usually is, who say, I don't have any money. When they do. And then I get to hear people say, I can't believe I got so screwed. My attorney. So that's why I'm going, if you think there's a lot of assets, then sometimes it's probably better to bring in someone.
Yeah.
If you because how do you think let's just say your husband, how do you think your husband's lying if he's been keeping this all from you for years?
Right. Yeah, and that's usually, a good attorney will recommend a forensic CPA and say, hey, to do my job, I have to get to the bottom of some of these things, and I have to be educated, and I don't know what's there until I know. So you hire the experts to get to the bottom of it, and sometimes it's one little thing or one little inkling that can lead you down a road and lead you down a path and direct you to some things that haven't been disclosed, and that's a big deal. And when that happens, yeah, you definitely want to look into it, because what else?
You only get one shot at it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to go to break. Give everybody your phone number and your website.
Sure. The phone number is 561-544-6861, and the website is www.lewertlaw.com.
Great. We're going to go to break, and we will be right back.
Lewert Law Offices is proud to be the family law expert on the Ask the Expert show. Attorney Tina Lewert is a board-certified specialist in marital and family law. Attorney Lewert is committed to obtaining the best resolution for your divorce or other family law case by consistently providing skilled representation, expert legal advice, and personal attention. Attorney Lewert has developed an excellent reputation for providing effective divorce and family law representation in Boca Raton and the surrounding communities. Lewert Law Offices offers legal advice and representation in a wide range of family law matters, including divorce, child custody, time sharing and visitation, child support, alimony, complex asset distribution, post-judgment modifications, and paternity actions. For expert representation in all aspects of divorce and family law, contact Attorney Tina Lewert today at 561-544-6861 or visit www.lewertlaw.com.
And we're back. The talk of the day is this Madison deal.
Yeah.
It's Ashley Madison.
Yeah.
I mean, there's literally thousands and thousands of names. Today, they released names of government people.
I saw that. I saw they have like a certain number of government, military,
One was one of the state commissioners. Mm-hmm. And he said he's not going to step down. I mean, he hadn't broken any laws, but he sure broke some vows, though.
Yeah, I guess
he is
so.
married. So
yeah.
The way they're talking is like divorce attorneys, their phones are starting to ring off the wall now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny, I've seen a lot of my colleagues actually do little mini ads. Hey, if you know someone on Ashley Madison, or if you know anything, call me, and if you were a victim of all that. But yeah, that's really disturbing. And I mean, some people might say it's disturbing that a website like that even exists. But yeah, and it's interesting because it's going to vary by state, like we talked about, what the repercussion is in each individual divorce, because some states are no fault, other states, are I guess, fault related or something. And so, yeah, as far as, the infidelity itself, is that punishment worthy? Is there a punitive measure? In Florida, no. But in Florida, what they'll do is they'll say, okay, well, to the extent that this affected things financially, for example, if this person, spent money on the extramarital affair, then yeah, that money was presumably,
which in this case it did. It was very expensive.
Presumably marital funds, and so the other spouse will get their half back because it was marital funds. So marital funds are subject to 50-50 division, and so that's how they look at it, and it's unfortunate.
I even saw Donald Sterling, his wife filed for divorce, and she wants all the money back from all the little toys he brought. He bought this
Sure.
little girlfriend,
Sure.
like a Ferrari, if you want to call that a toy.
Yeah. Add it all up.
Can you do that?
Sure.
You can actually find out money they've spent on whoever they're seeing on the
Absolutely.
side.
And I've done that, not in, Ashley Madison's situation, but I've done that in court. I've gone to trial over that issue where you're absolutely, we call it dissipation of marital assets. So, the spouse who cheated, we're going to gather, whatever we can, bills and receipts and credit card statements and put together charts and spreadsheets. How much was it over what period of time? Usually in Florida, the statute says the court can look back to 2 years before the breakdown of the marriage. So you can go back that far in time and add it up. The other spouse gets their half back somewhere in the distribution of the assets.
When you finished law school, did you know you were going to go into family law?
No, I didn't. No, but it was interesting. Things always brought me back to family law. So it was. I had.
It's a tough business.
It is a tough business.
Because we work with a lot of attorneys, and attorneys will tell us that I had to get out of family law. I could not take the aggravation that was involved, and some of it, especially when there's kids.
Yeah.
It's really, really sad.
Yeah, I have a lot of people that say to me, "How do you do that? And how do you handle that? And how do you see these things every day?" And I don't know. I think, it takes a certain kind of person. It definitely takes a thick skin. And, but there's something probably in every family law attorney, there's probably some reason if you dug deep to look for that we're doing this. So ultimately, you probably just want to help people. And that's why I do it. But yeah, it's very human. It's very emotional. And that stuff is an added element for any attorney practicing this area of law that you have to deal with. It's just a natural part of it, and it's not just contracts and numbers and all that. It's
do grandparents come to you? Do you ever get calls from grandparents?
Once in a while, but unfortunately, as far as custody in Florida, grandparents don't have custody rights. They don't have visitation rights. Correct.
So there's nothing you can do
unless there's some kind of like termination of parental rights where the parents are unable, they're unfit and they're unable to care for the child or children, and the grandparents happen to be the family member that want to step in and take custodial rights and care for the children because the parents couldn't. Maybe they're in jail, maybe they're too sick or too addicted to drugs or something like that, and there's a problem going on. And that's actually a little bit outside the realm of what I don't do. It's a dependency case, we call that, and that's actually a different court than the family court. But once in a while, and I feel bad, giving the bad news. I'm sorry, but you don't have visitation rights. And usually the grandparents, their time with the grandchildren will be the time that their son or daughter is spending with their own child. So that's when the grandparents get to see the kids.
Do you have to litigate somehow if one of the parents is really not a good parent, but they want 50-50 custody?
Sure.
So do you actually have to go in and fight for that they shouldn't have custody?
That they should or they shouldn't?
Should not.
Well, somebody has to do should and somebody has to do shouldn't.
True.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I've had cases like that where, we're going to what the average person would call a full-blown custody trial. And, they one person wants 50-50. The other person is saying, no, there are problems here. This person,
Drugs,
for whatever reason,
it
presents a danger to the child or
domestic violence.
Yeah, those are the big ones that I see. I usually see abuse, violence, and also addiction. And when I say addiction, I mean to the extent that the parent either won't acknowledge they have a problem, won't get help, won't get treatment. I see a lot of cases where if you're it happens a lot. It's a very very common illness and in our society. And if you're on track and you're doing what you can to get yourself help and to get yourself recovering and on that, and you're in a position where you're not presenting yourself as a danger to the children, not putting them in harm's way, not showing up drunk, banging on the door, trying to take them for time sharing. As long as those things aren't happening, you should be okay, and I should absolutely have rights to see your children. But where there's a danger presented, we go in and we present evidence and we call in, witnesses and whoever might have information that can help the court make a decision on that. And sure, full-blown
trial. What about
trial.
domestic violence? Now, is that a criminal attorney or is it a family attorney?
Domestic violence is there's a family law attorneys will do will handle matters pertaining to restraining orders. So
Okay.
you want to obtain a restraining order against a person, meaning that's a civil order. So that's a civil injunction. That's a piece of paper entered by the domestic violence court, which is it's a civil court. Sometimes the family law judges will also handle domestic violence matters, and so that's a civil restraining order that says you can't come near me, and you have to stay away from me. For example, if you have a battery, somebody hits another person. There's a criminal charge that could also be. It's a separate
Okay.
action. So it could be an action going on in the criminal court, which is a totally different court, and a criminal charge by the state against that person for that crime. And so they're really two different things.
So you're going to get
Sometimes
the
you have
restraining
both.
order.
Yeah, I'm going to do the restraining order, and
But
when
if there is
when the
violence-
police came and hauled the guy away, that's going to be the criminal attorney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that, I think with the way the economy is, that domestic violence, is it way up or is it about the
I
same?
think violence of all kinds is way up. Yeah, I mean it's a stressful time. It's a stressful everything. The economy, the housing market, the job market, and
Job market.
And I'm sure it has its psychological effects, and maybe on certain people more than others, or certain types of people that are prone to those things anyway psychologically, which is another good topic
Right.
for you for
Yeah.
Dr. Silverman, right? So it's again frightening when you hear things like that, and I see them every day, and it's
Well, I want to say this because I've had so many friends across the country, and they're mostly female, that said, I wish I would have really gotten a good attorney. My husband had one, and mine, and it was always the attorney who didn't specialize like you do. They did like criminal personal injury.
Yeah.
It was like a boutique.
yeah,
And this is all you do is just strictly family law.
correct.
So, listen, you only got one shot at this, and, we've got the best here, without a doubt. And if you have to go through this, which is sad, but if you have to, this is not the time to spare money. I mean, it's going to cost you no matter what kind of attorney you go to, but, at least from all the nightmare stories I've heard, get someone who really knows what they're doing. Don't just say, well, they're an attorney, they know what they're doing. This is what you do. This is all you do. So when you told me about, you tell people, they say, how did you know this was going to happen? You see it all day long.
Yeah, it's a sense that you develop.
And there's been times you had a show to do, and you got called by the judge to come in. Guess who won? The judge won every time, which is the way it should be. So let's give everybody your phone number again.
Sure, it's 561-544-6861.
And your website.
Website is
Got a great website, by the way.
Oh, thank you. www.lewertlaw.com. Lewert is spelled Lewert.
So listen, you don't have to Google. This is what's so great about the show. We're giving you, if you ever have a problem, if you have a family member who's got a marital problem, Tina Lewert. Thanks for coming in. Well, I know
Thank
you had a
for
rush to
having
get
me.
over here.
I did. Sorry.
Well, that's how. No, you don't have to apologize to us. We're glad you're here, and thank you so much. We're going to go to break, and we come back. We have our foreclosure show. We'll be right back.